Welcome to the Victory Education Lounge. I'm your host, Maurice, and today we're diving into part 47 of our series, The Role of Insulin Receptors in Insulin Resistance. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Your engagement helps us create better content and build a supportive community. Today, we're going to explore the crucial role that insulin receptors play in the development of insulin resistance. Understanding this mechanism is key to developing effective strategies for prevention and management. Let's dive in. Ever wondered how our bodies process sugar? Today, we're discussing a key player in this process, insulin receptors. These microscopic heroes are proteins found on the surface of our cells, acting as docking stations for insulin. Let's dive into the details. Picture insulin as a key and the insulin receptor as a lock. When insulin produced by the pancreas arrives at a cell, it fits into the insulin receptor, turning the lock and opening a door. This allows glucose, our body's primary source of energy derived from the food we eat, to enter the cell. It's a beautifully orchestrated dance, a process that keeps our body running smoothly. But what happens when this dance falls out of sync? Well, that's when we encounter a condition known as insulin resistance. In insulin resistance, this process becomes impaired. Despite the presence of insulin, the receptors don't respond as they should. The lock becomes jammed, the door stays closed, and glucose can't enter the cell. This leads to elevated blood sugar levels, a hallmark of diabetes. Now, you might be wondering, what causes insulin resistance? There are several key aspects of insulin receptor function that can contribute to this condition. Firstly, the number of insulin receptors on a cell surface can decrease. Fewer receptors mean fewer docking stations for insulin, which can lead to insulin resistance. Secondly, even if the number of receptors is normal, their sensitivity to insulin can reduce. In other words, the lock becomes harder to turn, even with the right key. Lastly, there can be post-receptor defects. These are issues in the signaling pathway that occurs after insulin binds to the receptor. It's like having a door that's stuck, even after the lock has been turned. That's the basis of how insulin receptors work. Now let's understand their role in insulin resistance. This understanding is crucial as it forms the foundation of strategies for prevention and management of insulin resistance. So, buckle up folks, we're just getting started. Insulin resistance isn't as simple as it sounds. It involves several aspects of insulin receptor function. Let's break it down. First off, we have the number of receptors. Insulin receptors are like docking stations for insulin on the cell's surface. The more docking stations, the more insulin can be processed. However, if the number of these docking stations decreases, the cell's ability to respond to insulin can be compromised, leading to insulin resistance. Next, we have receptor sensitivity. This refers to how effectively a receptor responds to insulin. It's like having a lock and key. The lock is the receptor, and the key is the insulin. If the lock becomes rusty or stiff, the key might not work as effectively. In the same way, if the receptors become less sensitive, they might not respond as well to insulin, leading to insulin resistance. Third, we have post-receptor defects. This refers to issues in the signaling pathway that occurs after insulin has bound to the receptor. Imagine it like a relay race. If one runner trips or drops the baton, the message doesn't get passed on effectively. Similarly, if there's a defect in the signaling pathway, the cell might not respond properly to insulin. Fourth on our list is receptor internalization. This is when the receptors are moved into the cell after insulin binding. If this process is disrupted, it can lead to insulin resistance. Think of it like a ship docking at a harbor. If the ship can't unload its cargo, it doesn't matter how many ships are waiting in line. Finally, we have receptor recycling. This is the process of bringing receptors back to the cell surface after they've been internalized. If this recycling process is disrupted, it can reduce the number of available receptors, leading to insulin resistance. Understanding these aspects is key to managing and preventing insulin resistance. It allows us to target specific areas of the insulin signaling process and develop more effective treatment strategies. Prevention is better than cure. Let's explore some strategies to manage and prevent insulin resistance. First up, regular exercise. It's a tried and true method that increases insulin receptor sensitivity and number. The downside? It requires consistent effort, and there's a potential for injury if not done properly, so be sure to consult with a professional to get an exercise regimen that suits you. Next, let's talk diet. Specifically, a low glycemic index diet. This type of diet reduces insulin demand, potentially improving receptor function. However, it may require significant dietary changes, which can be a challenge for some. Intermittent fasting is another strategy gaining popularity. It can improve insulin sensitivity and receptor function, but remember, it may not be suitable for everyone and can be challenging for some. Always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new dietary regimen. Omega-3 fatty acids, a type of good fat, may also improve insulin receptor sensitivity. But they can have side effects at high doses and may interact with certain medications. Chromium supplementation is another consideration. Some research suggests it may enhance insulin receptor function. However, the results are mixed and there's potential for side effects. Berberine, a compound found in several plants, has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity at the receptor level. But it can interact with certain medications, so always check with a healthcare provider before starting any new supplement. Stress reduction is another key strategy. It lowers cortisol, a hormone that can interfere with insulin receptor function. The downside is that it takes time to master and may require professional guidance. Adequate sleep is crucial for overall metabolic health, including insulin receptor function. However, it may be difficult for some to get enough sleep due to work or lifestyle factors. Resistance training like weightlifting increases muscle mass, which in turn improves overall insulin sensitivity. But like with any exercise, there's a risk of injury if not done properly, and it may require guidance. Finally, there are medications like thiazolidinediones that can improve insulin receptor sensitivity. However, they have potential side effects and require a prescription. In summary, managing insulin resistance involves a holistic approach. Regular exercise, a balanced diet, adequate sleep, and stress reduction form the foundation. Supplements and medications may be helpful, but they're not a substitute for lifestyle changes. Always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new regimen. Remember, everyone is unique. What works for one person may not work for another. It's about finding the right balance and strategies that work for you. These strategies provide a holistic approach to managing insulin resistance. Real-life examples can help illustrate these strategies. Let's look at some. Consider Sarah's case. At 38, she was struggling with insulin resistance. Sarah decided to implement regular exercise into her routine, focusing on a blend of aerobic and resistance training. After just 3 months, Sarah noticed a significant improvement in her insulin sensitivity. This improvement likely resulted from an increase in the function of her insulin receptors, made possible through her consistent effort. Next, let's talk about Mike. At 55, Mike was grappling with elevated blood sugar levels. He decided to adopt a low glycemic index diet to manage his condition. Over time, Mike experienced better blood sugar control and improved energy levels, indicating a potential enhancement in insulin receptor function. Then there's Emma. Emma, a busy professional in her mid-40s, decided to try intermittent fasting to manage her insulin resistance. Despite the initial challenge of adapting to a new eating pattern, she found that her insulin sensitivity significantly improved, suggesting a positive impact on her insulin receptors. Lastly, let's look at John. John, a 60-year-old retired teacher, decided to try a new approach after struggling with traditional methods. He started taking omega-3 fatty acid supplements and noticed a noticeable improvement in his insulin sensitivity. This improvement suggests a potential enhancement in the sensitivity of his insulin receptors. These stories highlight the potential power of lifestyle changes in managing insulin resistance. They show that, while the journey might be challenging, it's possible to improve insulin receptor function, and, by extension, insulin sensitivity. Each of these individuals found a strategy that worked for them, highlighting the importance of personalized approaches in managing insulin resistance. These real-life examples show how understanding insulin receptors can lead to effective strategies for managing and preventing insulin resistance. Understanding the role of insulin receptors in insulin resistance is key to developing effective strategies for prevention and management. We've delved into the fascinating world of insulin receptors, exploring their function and the crucial role they play in insulin resistance. We've learned that the number and sensitivity of these receptors, along with post-receptor defects, receptor internalization, and recycling, can all contribute to insulin resistance. We've also examined a range of strategies to manage this condition, from regular exercise and dietary changes to supplements and medication, each with their own set of pros and cons. Real-life examples have shown us how these strategies can be successfully implemented. Insulin resistance is a complex issue, but with a better understanding of insulin receptors, we can take a step towards more effective prevention and management. Remember, it's not just about managing symptoms, but understanding the root cause. Before we wrap up, I want to emphasize that the information in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Any health-related decisions should be discussed with a licensed physician. Your health journey is unique and professional guidance is crucial. Thank you for joining us in the Victory Education Lounge. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Together we can work towards better understanding and managing insulin resistance at the receptor level. This is Maurice, wishing you health and vitality.